You know that feeling, right? You're in the gym, you're doing curls until you can't feel your arms anymore, but they just don't seem to be growing. It's gotta be one of the most frustrating things ever. But what if I told you the secret wasn't just about training harder? What if it's about training smarter? Well, today we're gonna ditch the guesswork and dive deep into the science of what actually builds bigger biceps. So let's just get right to it and ask the big question. Are all those curls you're doing really getting the job done? It's so easy to fall into the trap of just mindlessly lifting weights. But today, we're going to break it all down. We're going to look at exactly how much you should be training, which exercises give you the most bang for your buck, and even how you can target specific parts of your arm to get that full, complete look you're after. Okay, so the very first thing we have to nail down, it isn't some secret magical exercise. Nope, it's the single most important principle for muscle growth, period. And that is training volume. Just think of volume as the total amount of work you do. If you get this wrong, it doesn't matter how perfect your exercises are, you just won't see the results. To really get a grip on volume, we're going to use the volume landmark system, which was made popular by Dr. Mike Israstel. So, first up is your MEV, or minimum effective volume. This is your starting line. It's the absolute least amount of work you can do and still trigger some growth. If you're training below this level, you're pretty much just maintaining what you already have. Next up, we've got the MAV, maximum adaptive volume. Now this is the sweet spot. This is the range, the sweet spot, where you're going to make your best gains over the long haul. It's tough enough to force your muscles to adapt and grow, but not so crazy that you can't recover from it week in and week out. This is where you want to be living for most of your training. And finally, we have the MRV, maximum recoverable volume. This right here is the absolute ceiling. It's the most work you can possibly throw at your muscles, recover from, and still come back stronger. Pushing past your MRV is just a recipe for disaster. That's overtraining, and your performance will actually start to go down. You typically want to slowly build up towards this at the very end of a training cycle, right before you take a much-needed break. So what does all this mean for your biceps in actual numbers? Well, here they are. For most people who've been lifting for a bit, your MEV, your starting point, is going to be around 8 to 10 direct sets for your biceps per week. The sweet spot, your MAV, is up there between 14 and 20 sets. And your absolute upper limit, your MRV, is somewhere in the 20 to 26 set range. So here's the bottom line. If you're doing less than 8 sets a week, you're probably not growing. If you're trying to do more than 26 sets a week, you're probably just digging yourself into a hole. Okay, perfect. So now we know how much to train, we have our volume targets, but now we have to figure out what to do with all those sets. And believe it or not, science actually has a pretty strong opinion on which curl is the quote-unquote best. So, researchers with the American Council on Exercise, or ACE, wanted to figure this out once and for all. They took a bunch of people, hooked them up to an EMG machine, which basically just measures the electrical activity in your muscles. It's a really high-tech way of seeing how hard a muscle is actually working during a lift. They tested 8 of the most popular bicep curls to see which one came out on top. And the results? Well, they weren't even close. As you can see right here, the good old-fashioned concentration curl absolutely blew everything else out of the water. It showed way more muscle activation than even the classics, like the cable curl or the barbell curl. And the reason is pretty simple. It is fantastic at isolating the bicep, which stops other muscles, like your shoulders, from cheating and helping it. But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. And it was summed up perfectly by the guy who led the study, Dr. John Porcari. The concentration curl is the undisputed king of pure bicep isolation. But a truly well-rounded, strong arm needs more than just that. So while it's the best for pure activation, it shouldn't be the only tool in your toolbox. And that leads us to an even cooler question. We know how to get the most activation, sure, but can we actually change the shape of our bicep? Can we specifically target the peak versus the lower part? Well, according to some really new research, the answer is yeah, you can. It's a concept called regional hypertrophy, and it's a game changer. To get this, let's just compare 2 exercises you probably know, the incline curl and the preacher curl. When you do an incline curl, your arm is hanging behind your body, which puts a massive stretch on the bicep. It overloads the muscle when it's at its longest. The preacher curl is the complete opposite. Your arm is out in front of you, which overloads the bicep in that squeezed, fully shortened position. So the question is, does that different stress lead to different kinds of growth? Oh yeah, it does. This is where it gets really cool. A study had people train one arm with only incline curls and the other arm with only preacher curls. The results were incredible. The incline curls, the one that stretches the muscle, caused way more growth in the upper part of the bicep. We're talking about building that bicep peak. And the preacher curls, the one that squeezes the muscle, built up the lower part of the bicep, giving you that fullness down by the elbow. So yeah, you can literally sculpt your biceps by picking the right exercises. But listen, a truly impressive set of arms isn't just about the peak, right? It's about that overall thickness and size. And to get that, we need to look beyond the main bicep muscle and start training the muscles that are hiding underneath and next to it. So let's talk about two hidden heroes here. First is the brachialis. This is a super strong muscle that actually sits right underneath your bicep. When you make your brachialis bigger, it physically pushes your bicep up, making your peak look taller. Then you've got the brachioradialis. That's that big, meaty muscle on the top of your forearm. Building this bad boy adds some serious mass and gives you that powerful, thick arm look. So how do we hit him? It's all in the grip. Hammer curls, where your palms face each other, are your go-to for the brachialis. This is the move for building that muscle under the bicep. Then you've got reverse curls with your palms facing down. That shifts all the work right onto the brachioradialis. That's your ticket to building that impressive Popeye forearm and a killer grip. A smart arm program needs both of these. All right, we have covered a ton of science, volume, exercise selection, even sculpting your arms. Now let's put it all together into a simple plan you can take with you to the gym, like right now. Here it is, your 3-step framework for bigger biceps. Step 1, set your volume. Start out on the lower end, maybe 10 to 14 sets per week, and slowly add more over time as you get stronger. Step 2, choose your tools. Don't just do one kind of curl. Build your workouts around your goals. Want pure isolation? Concentration curls. Want to build that peak? Incline curls. Need more thickness? Hammer and reverse curls. And step 3, this is the most important one, you have to train for progress. Every single week, the goal is just to do a little bit more, one more rep, a little more weight. That is what actually drives growth. And there you have it. The complete, science-backed blueprint for building your best biceps ever. But think about it. This framework of using volume landmarks, picking the right exercises for the job, and always pushing for progress, that doesn't just work for your arms. It's the foundation for building any muscle effectively. So the real question is, how are you going to apply this smart approach to the rest of your training? Remember, science is always evolving. To avoid missing the next scientific analysis and protocol, don't forget to turn on notifications and subscribe. See you in the other videos, and let's meet in the comments to discuss what topic we should cover next.